Hey, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about why pending home sales are falling apart throughout the nation. There's a lot of factors, but the biggest thing is people are nervous going into these transactions right now, and buyers are in control of the market, and they're not going to put up with any BS. They're only going to look at properties that fit their needs. I mean, years ago, the sellers were in control. The sellers picked the price. The sellers wouldn't do any repairs, and now it's a different story. The other thing we're seeing right now is the buyers are sitting back and watching and waiting. They're being patient, where before we literally waited in line to go into a home and to put an offer in on a stack of 10 offers. The market is completely changed right now. Certain parts of the country are hurting more than others. And we're going to take a look right now at why more and more people are either pulling their home off the market or pending sales are falling off the market right now. So especially here in Phoenix right now, we're seeing that prices might look stable on the surface, but there's a growing trend underneath right now. And today I'm going to break this down and look at how sellers are reacting and what this means for you. So first, we're going to talk about what the data shows right now. Let's start with the numbers. Nationwide, pending sales and cancellations throughout the country are up 17%. Here in Phoenix, it's 22%. And in Scottsdale right now, we're at 19%. And that means 20% of the people are backing out of the transaction. Now, if you haven't sold a home for a while, you forget what it's like. As soon as people put their home on the market, they've already been planning for months about their next move. Maybe they bought another home already. Maybe they took a new job in another location. Can you imagine getting 30 to 40 days into a transaction, possibly, and having the buyers walk away? The other day, I heard a story on a luxury deal where the people went in and walked away from $150,000 earnest money. Yes, that's right. They walked away from an earnest deposit of $150,000 because they weren't in love with the home the more that they researched it. Have you noticed more homes going back on the market in your neighborhood? That's not a coincidence right now. It's usually the buyer's hesitation in the marketplace. So now, more failed sales. Let's break it down even further. According to Redfin, pending cancellations are up 17% right now through June. In Phoenix, 1 out of every 5 deals is falling apart. And for homes between 400,000 and 600,000, most of the cancellations are taking place. Just last week, one of my clients had a deal fall apart for a $20,000 plumbing repair. When it comes to plumbing issues, especially if you have to go underneath the concrete slab because we don't have basements, it can be a big deal. And some people do not want to go into a home that's had any type of plumbing problems. Another thing that we see right now is where buyers are looking at homes. The National Association of Realtors changed the way that agents get paid. Some sellers are not offering their buyer's agents compensation anymore. It's separate. The buyers may become responsible for paying the commissions of the agents. With a lot of my buyers, we basically discuss this up front. They know they're going to be responsible to pay my fees. So many of them will decide that they don't want to look at any properties that are not paying my fee. So when we go into a transaction or when we go and look at properties, before we do, we call the other agent, the listing agent, and we ask them, hey, are you providing buyer's agent compensation? Some of them won't tell you and some of them will. It's at the seller's discretion. But ultimately, there's a pool of buyers that aren't going to be looking at homes if they end up having to pay the buyer's agent's fees. You just have to consider that home's off the market to them. Now, that's totally their objective. If they decide they want to try and negotiate or they still want to see the home, of course, we're going to show them the home. We want to show all the homes we have in inventory so they get the best idea of what's available. So now let's talk about why buyers are walking. First of all, it's mortgage rates. We keep hearing things on the TV. They're going to lower rates. They're going to raise rates. Inflation's coming up. Tariffs are hitting. There's just a lot of things going on in the economy right now, so it doesn't feel real stable. The people that are doing really well in the stock market right now, a lot of my well-off clients are buying homes right now. It doesn't seem to affect them, but for a lot of people, they're really being affected by the economy right now. And a lot of people are losing their jobs, including a lot of people in technology that in the past wouldn't have to consider that as a possibility. Another thing that's coming up right now is the appraisals. You know, if you go and get a price that's too high and homes in your neighborhood are coming down, you may have to deal with an appraisal issue. What happens during an appraisal issue? Well, the buyers can ask for a discount on the home to the appraised value, and the sellers may say yes or no. So now you have one other thing that you have to negotiate. And remember, appraisals don't happen in the beginning of the transaction. Sometimes they don't come back for a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks on a 30-day closing. So again, now you have people that are ready to buy a home, considering moving their stuff, getting everything together, calling a moving company, boxing up some of their stuff, and you have a seller doing the same thing on the other side. And now an appraisal issue comes up, and some sellers in the past have been really stingy on wanting to lower their price to the appraised value of the home. And some of the buyers have been stingy about not wanting to overpay. You have to work it out. It's going to come up. There's a lot of things now that are additional negotiations in a sale, and that includes the inspection items and the appraisal. So what's the deal breakers right now? Again, I'm going to go back to the inspection things. We're getting many inspection reports that are coming back with probably a minimum of $10,000 requests, up to 25 or 30, even 50 or 100 on a luxury home. I sold a home in the last few months where we had to go in after we purchased it and do $20,000 worth of plumbing repairs because they had polybutylene pipes, which are a pipe that's most likely going to fail at some point. And this was a $3.6 million transaction. There's still people out there asking for a rate buy down where the seller can pay to buy down the mortgage rate up to a certain amount of money for the buyers, and that's still happening out there. It all depends on the people's situation. Some people want help buying down the rate. The problem we get into, it only buys the rate down for a couple years, and then if mortgage rates don't come down after that, a lot of people are stuck. Next, what sellers are doing behind the scenes. Here's the trick. These prices may look firm with the sellers, but after they've been sitting on the market for a while, they start to get nervous. They start to look at Redfin, they start to look at Zillow and figure out what their values are outside of what their agent has told them already. But the ultimate goal to finding the right price is what the buyers are willing to pay for it. The buyers control the market right now. A buyer's going to come in and they're going to look at your home. Now, if you're not getting any showings, there's something wrong. You need to evaluate. Does my home look move-in ready? Does my photography really show the highlights of my home? How's my neighborhood these days? Did we clean up all the clutter before the photos for the property? Do we have a lot of magnets on the refrigerator and a lot of papers laying around the house? There's so many homes that are improperly presented to the market. It would be no different than having a dirty old Ferrari sitting next to a really clean, polished Ferrari. The clean one's going to sell every time, and it's most likely going to sell for more. Buyers are really picky right now, and they are going out and looking at every new home that comes on the market. And if your home isn't one of the best homes on the market, you're probably not going to get it sold, at least not at that price. So now what do we tell the buyers right now? Right now we're telling the buyers, make sure you have the best pre-qualification available. And it's not just a pre-qualification, it's called a full approval. Once you're fully approved and all you need is a property to put your loan with, you're almost as good as a cash buyer for the most part. Of course, subject to appraisal and other things, but you're a really strong buyer. So a really strong buyer has more leverage over a seller. So that's the number one thing you want to do. Second, you want to discuss with your lender what your options are for a loan that's going to work best for you. Do you need a rate buy down if you went into a seller? Would it be better if you got a credit against closing costs, or would it be better if you got a rate buy down? There's a number of things that you really need to look at to try to find the best overall situation for every buyer. And for the sellers right now, what do we tell them? Prep your home, fix all the repairs. In Arizona, AC, air conditioning units are a big deal and a big expense. So what I always recommend is get our air conditioning tech out there, do an AC inspection. If there's anything that needs to be repaired, we get it repaired now, and we provide a receipt to whoever wants to buy our home. I'm not telling you to go out and put a new air conditioner on, but in some instances, it's important to do stuff like that. You know why? Because if you can shop around and find an air conditioner for $10,000, and they're going to come in and ask for $15,000 more, well, that's 50% more. I mean, that's a lot more money that they're going to ask for. I always find that whenever people come into a property, my sellers could have fixed the thing for X amount of dollars, and the buyers are always going to ask for twice X. They always want way more money off the price than what the repairs would have cost. So you need to try to fix everything up front and present your home as good as you can. Try to make it one of the best in the neighborhood. So if anybody needs help in the greater Phoenix area, Scottsdale or Paradise Valley, I'm here. If you need market reports in your local area, just let me know. Reach out. My contact information is down below. Take a look at some of our other videos. Have a great day.